Hi, this is JT Romuto. Welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zulek. It's the Phillies Show. It's Friday, April 18th, 2025. Guys, how we doing?
Bueno.
Bueno.
Oh, I love it. Oh, bueno. Double bueno.
Muy bueno.
Double
Especially
moody.
after Cristopher Sánchez.
Oh, that's right. Yes. We're in a Spanish-speaking mood because of Cristopher Sanchez. Guys, how about that yesterday, huh? That was pretty fun to watch.
Muy delicioso.
Oh, I love it, James. I love it. You are bilingual. Delicioso. He was delicious.
He was delicious. Ruben, how delicious was he, Ruben?
That changeup
how delicious.
That changeup was so ridiculous yesterday. It was almost man against boys. A man against boys. I don't know. He was like an 85% swing whiff rate against it. And he just kept using it. I know there's some shadows to deal with, but I don't care. It was filthy. And you could have just literally told him, here comes a changeup. Good luck hitting it. That was that good. And, you rushed to 97. He got the one guy, I think it was Fitzgerald or Koss. I can't remember who it was. They rushed a fastball and froze him at 97 on the inside part of the plate. And I felt for the guy because I'm like standing there going, that would have been no fun facing that. He's looking for the changeup and then busting that fastball in the inside corner front door. Ridiculous. He was really, really good, man. I love it because I love the kid. I love what he's gone through. I love the fact, he's been paid now, which is great, but he wants to get better and better and better, and it's really cool to watch him grow.
Yeah, I love the inside the game. I mean, JT Realmuto, former high school quarterback, that necessarily wasn't in the game plan to throw 52%. Excuse me. It wasn't in the game plan to throw 52% changeups, but the former high school quarterback, read what was working, called an audible, and just wrote it. And a lot of it was to do with, it was tough to see because of the shadows. But Sanchez just executed. That's a lot of changeups, 50 changeups.
That was like, so I found some great numbers last night just because from Thursday's game, just because it was so unbelievable, the changeups. First of all, Sanchez, 12 strikeouts, most strikeouts by a Phillies left-hander in a game since Cole Hamels was no-hitter against the Cubs on July 25th, 2015. Of course, that was his final start for the Phillies. Before, Ruben, you traded him to the Rangers.
I properly traded him.
Yeah, exactly. So he struck out 11, as Jim mentioned. One of you guys mentioned he struck out 11 of those batters on changeups. Since pitch tracking began in 2008, that is tied with Alex Cobb and Luis Castillo for most strikeouts in a game on changeups. He had 22 swings and misses on changeups, the most whiffs in a game on a changeup since 2008. And then one other one, I looked this up last night. Since Sanchez got in the rotation on June 17th, 2023, he has an MLB best 164 strikeouts on changeups. Second best is Tarek Skubal with 127. So, I mean, he's got an unbelievable changeup. We know it, but we really got to watch it yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. Bob Melvin, after the game, said shadows were a little challenging, but he's like, the thing about that is his changeup looks exactly like his sinker. Exactly like his sinker coming out of his hands. So, they were it's kind of like, we were in deep trouble.
And his sinker is 98, which is the reason that changeup, one of the big reasons that changeup plays so great. And, the 4:00 start was big because the shadows crept in, made it tough to see. The Giants are in the middle of 17 straight games without a day off. They started in the Bronx. They came to Philadelphia, and they had to fly all night to get to Anaheim, where they play on Friday night. They were not happy with the 4:00 start simply because it made for a long night of travel. They would have preferred a 1:00 start, but the Phillies played that game at 4:00, and it really behooved Cristopher Sánchez.
I mean, I will say this also. I'm really impressed by the San Francisco Giants, the way they handled the bat. I mean, they extra base hits, all the things that they're sort of trying to do. I talked to Pat Burrell, who was one of our guests earlier. It's really great to – you guys should go check out that Pat Burrell. It's a really cathartic sort of podcast. He talked a lot about his own personal stuff that he's gone through, and it's a really good one. But the fact that he – is now the hitting coach there. Sort of, they're implementing some old school values there. See it and hit it, hitting in the middle of the field. They know they don't have a lot of home run hitters, but there's a lot of space at Oracle Park to get extra base hits. He just wants to have his hitters make good contact, see the ball, hit the ball, use the middle of the field, and they did that really well against the Phillies, and that's a pretty damn impressive offense for them.
And the Phillies, can I point out, I totally agree with you, what he's doing over there. And, that's a smart way to approach your ballpark. They've got a new front office. Buster Posey is running the show there, and bringing some tried and true baseball values back to that organization. But you talk about using the middle field, putting the ball in play, having a good approach. I thought the Phillies did that in the first inning on Thursday against a guy throwing 101, Jordan Hicks. They put the ball in play. It found a couple holes, get through the infield. Alec Bohm crushes one to center field, and the center fielder can't make a play on it. It goes for a triple, and I thought it was a triple. Maybe Alec Bohm's luck is turning a little bit, but I thought I saw a really good approach early. Like you said, put it in play, use the middle field, see what happens against a real hard thrower in Hicks in the Phillies. So that was a good sign as well.
Yeah, they need to do that. They've been struggling with runners in scoring positions. So by any means possible. Jim, you mentioned Sanchez's velocity. He came into spring so much bigger and stronger, and visibly bigger and stronger. And his fastball yesterday averaged 96.3, touched 98. And of course, we asked him a lot in spring, like, do you think he can maintain this velocity deep into games and deep into the season? He said, very confidently, yes, I believe I can. His last fastball last night, the 7th inning, was 97.6 miles an hour. So he held it and kept
He's
that.
He's commanding it. But didn't
Yes.
he come to the Phillies? Didn't he come to the Phillies, Todd, as a hard thrower? He came to the Phillies as a hard thrower.
Oh, yes, he did.
He was 96 in the minor leagues. He just didn't know where it was going. The big improvement for this guy, to me, is he knows where to put it, and he's really shined up that changeup.
I've talked about this a little bit on the broadcast, and one of the things, it takes a long time for a guy who's really long-limbed and a guy who, especially left-handers, to get their bodies in sync, to get them, rolling, and to get the consistency out of their delivery that they need. It takes some time sometimes for these guys, and it took him a little bit more time than most. Great job by the scouting group of identifying this guy, and also even better job by Caleb Cotham and by the kid himself, to get himself to the point where he is one of the better left-handers in all of baseball now. And super signing, I think, by Dave Dombrowski. Smart to get him early.
We've got more on this series and the upcoming series this weekend against the Marlins right after these words.
Todd Father, I'm looking for premium clothes at an affordable price. I want it to fit nice. I want it to make all the features that we want to point out look nice. And I want softness.
Yes.
What do I do?
You hit up True Classic. I mean, these shirts that I have on right now, not only is it fitting and it's soft, it makes my arms look a little bigger too as well. The comfort is all I ask for in clothing, and that's the biggest part. And this is what they have. The jeans are comfortable too as well. Everything that you put on right now from True Classic is special. It's something I'm going to buy in all different colors.
It's 100% perfect fit guarantee, easy returns, free shipping on all orders. And whether you're bundling up for the cold or you're getting ready for spring, you can level up your style with clothes that actually fit right. Just go to the FT exclusive link. That's trueclassic.com/foul to save. trueclassic.com/foul. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today with trueclassic.com/foul.
We are back. Jim, I was reading your story today on PHLY, and you found something that I guess I didn't really know, is that the Phillies are 11-8. It's the same record they had last season. Maybe the sky isn't falling.
We're very panicky.
Yeah.
If this season were a butterfly, it would be just emerging from the cocoon and stretching its wings. I mean, I don't know where it's going to go. I like their personnel, but their personnel still has to play good.
Right.
And last week they didn't play well, but that happens. They even on Thursday, that offense didn't sustain. They get 6 hits for the day, 5 of them in the first inning. And they score all their runs in the first inning. And then, Hicks really got it together. The Phillies offense didn't do much. There's work to do. They didn't sustain. They need to sustain the offense. The offense in general needs to be better. Still concerned about the outfield, especially center field, especially Kepler's work against left-handers. I mean, I don't know if they're headed for a platoon in left field. Maybe they're not, but it was quite interesting to me that Otto Kemp played left field in Lehigh on Thursday. He's a right-handed stick. He's a good right-handed stick. He's been a good right-handed stick in his minor league career. Struggles defensively, not really played a ton in the outfield, very little, but it's clear they're taking a look at him there. They took a look at him there. Could that be in play at some time down the road, a platoon in left field? Possibly. I think it's always great to explore options. And now center field to me is a major issue. Marsh is not hit. Now he's got a little knee tweak. And the more I look at Rojas, I mean, this is not an original thought, but there's talent there. I just wonder if he needs to be playing every day, every inning in AAA as a player development vehicle, but who knows?
Yeah, the outfield's a concern. There's no question about it. You're not getting the kind of offensive production that you want. And, in fact, defensively, some gaffes as well. And you see that. And, when you're a defensive specialist and you're making, defensive gaffes, I don't know if he lost the grip on that one throw during the course of that series, but it was a terrible throw. He's better than that. He's got to be a little bit more instinctive and understand the game a little bit better than to try to launch, especially when the guy wasn't going. He's got to hit the cutoff man. But you're right. He's talented. He's got to get it together. He's got to play better. And a lot of guys do. I was sitting there prepping for the game, and I was putting the lineup in, and I'm looking at Alec Boehm hitting in the 8th hole, and I just can't fathom it. It's hard for me to just fathom, and that's going to change.
Absolutely.
When he gets going. But the fact that he's in an 8 hole right now, and justly, I mean, there's no reason why he's not in the 8 hole. He's struggling. But it's just, to me, that it's hard for me to wrap my head around it because he's such a good hitter. And he really is a good hitter. He's just not hitting. And I think he's going to, gradually move himself up. And he needs to, because if he doesn't, it's going to be tough for the Phillies to create runs the way they should be creating runs. But we'll see. The one thing that does concern me a little bit about Alec Boehm is he's never gotten to the point where he's pulling the ball strong consistently. And they're starting to pound him inside, and I see where the outfielders are playing him and all that kind of stuff. That concerns me a little bit because at some point he's going to have to learn to turn and burn on some pitches and get to that fastball inside. I like the fact that he can use the whole field, but he's going to have to be able to learn, like Charlie Manuel taught Ryan Howard years ago in the minor leagues. You got to learn how to get the ball out front every once in a while.
He smoked that ball to center field in the first inning, and Luis Matos, I think, it was in his glove, and then it bounced out as he hit the wall, and I couldn't help but think he's had so much bad luck the first few weeks of the season. Maybe something like that can get him going. And Jim, I saw you were talking with Alec in the clubhouse post game, and I saw Alec smile a couple times. I did. I mean, it really jumped out. I was like, he is having an interview with Jim. It was a one-on-one, and I saw Alec smiling throughout most of the interview. And I'm saying
that's because I told him a dirty joke.
Yeah,
it's because you're a brilliant interviewer, Jim. Brilliant.
Told him a dirty joke.
Bring out the best in these guys.
Jim, what was the joke?
I can't tell it here, but 2 guys went into a bar, eh?
But no, so I mean, you wonder maybe that's the type of thing. He had the go ahead hit the other night. Maybe he's settling down now. Maybe he's feeling better about himself. So
he's got to smile and let it happen. You can't play this game uptight.
Yeah. We talked a lot about that in Wednesday's episode with what Bryce said. And, Alec talked on the post game with you, Ruben, and the post game with us, the reporters, and, just about his mindset and whatnot. But I want to ask you guys, while we kind of look back at the series before we talk about the next one, Aaron Nola, a lot of concern about him. He's got a 6.65 ERA after his first 4 starts. Fastball velocity isn't there, although I did look at his fastball velocity last April. His 4-seamer and 2-seamer average 90.9 miles an hour. It's 90.7 right now. So maybe this is just, maybe it's just he's a slow builder. But do you guys have any concerns about the way he's pitching in terms of him not being able to pull out of it, or what do you think?
I have concerns, yes. Since 2021, him and Wheeler are like number 1 and 3 in innings in the major leagues. Carried a heavy workload. He's north of 30. I have concerns, but I also don't rule out him digging out of it and building more velocity. But he's never been a power guy. But if he doesn't have a little bit more velocity, you're going to have to nibble. And now we're seeing nibbling. And if you miss your spot nibbling, it's a ball. And if you try to bring it back over the plate, you get hurt. It's kind of as Lenny Dykstra used to say, it's a 2-edged sword.
It was interesting to watch that game and how it seemed like his body or his mind or whatever was just not ready for the first inning. And then he locked it in for that was vintage, Aaron Nola over the next 3 or 4 innings. Mm-hmm. Then he sort of started to hit a little bit of a wall at the end. But, he can pitch at those velocities if he has the break and he has the movement of the fastball that he had through those 3 or 4 innings. He was really good. And he can get swing and miss on the breaking ball because it's good. He tunnels his pitches really well. All of that stuff, but he's got to be able to really pinpoint his stuff because it is down right now. I do believe that he'll build it up. Don't know how much, but he'll get to the 92s and 93s and an occasional 94, I think, at some point. But he's not there yet. And you're right, Jim. There's a lot of bullets he's thrown and a lot of innings. And so it'll be interesting. I know he's healthy. He feels good. I think he's pissed off at himself. I mean, it was pretty obvious that he's not pitching up to par. I mean, he said it himself. It was unacceptable. Yeah. And I like that he said that because it's not acceptable for him because he's a better pitcher than that.
Yeah, no doubt. He's got to get it figured out. And you guys were talking about the outfield earlier. Nick Castellanos yesterday left the game. He had some tightness in his left hip flexor. And just talked to him real briefly after the game on Thursday, and he says he should be fine and ready to play on Friday. He said he just kind of felt it tighten up when he was trying to reach for the bag. I think that at bat in the 5th inning, went out to the outfield, started feeling it tighten up. But he started 183 consecutive games. He says he doesn't care about the streak, but I also think he would like to keep the streak going if he can. So, and also, man, that was the first thought that came out of my mind when he left the game yesterday is, oh, boy, they cannot afford to lose Nick Castellanos right now in the outfield because they are, as we said, very, very thin. So the Phillies play a 3-game series beginning Friday night against the Marlins. A pretty cool pitching matchup Friday night if you're going to the old ball yard. Oh, yeah, baby. Sandy Alcantara versus Zach Wheeler. Jim. You love pitching.
Ooh.
You pay to see that, right?
Yeah, because, Alcantara always pitches like 9 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts against the Phillies, and he loses 1-0.
And loses.
Yeah, it's so funny. He's great. And, he's won a Cy Young. Zach Wheeler's finished second twice. And, on top of it all, Sandy Alcantara is going to be the darling of the July trade market.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir. So I'm looking this up right now. I think 1, 4, 5, 6. The Phillies, the Marlins are 1-7 in Sandy Alcantara's last 8 starts against the Phillies.
Crazy.
He has and he hasn't like pitched terribly. He has got a 3.76 ERA in that time, but the last 2 times he pitched in 2023, 14 and 2/3 innings, 1 run. They lost both games.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Jim, your memory serves you well.
Yeah, I just remember, and those games are always like 2 hours and 7 minutes. You can get a nice post-game burger. I mean, they're good. I like.
Yeah,
Sandy
we were hoping.
Alcantara.
I mean, we were hoping the last big matchup with Sale and Wheeler was going to be a good one, and they both, sort of, crapped on themselves a little bit. I do believe that Wheeler's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I know Sandy. Every time he wants to pitch, he pitches against the Phillies. He's got a chip on his shoulder. You can see the competitiveness. I think that Wheeler's not pitched as well as he would like. His command has not been there. I looked at some of the inside numbers today as I was prepping, and I thought, what are the whiff rates and that kind of stuff? They're actually still pretty good. His velocities are fine. I think Sandy Alcantara's are down just a touch. He hasn't been as dominant so far this year, but he's coming off Tommy John. I mean, he's not really the same guy, but he will be because he's still building up. And I love his competitiveness. This is going to be a really good matchup because I think both of these guys have something to prove, and it'll be fun to watch tonight.
Ruben, if you were still the GM, you'd have Peter Bendix on speed dial trying to pry Sandy Alcantara away.
I would be giving up a lot for that young man. I love the way he competes. I've watched him from he might be my white whale, as in Doc Halladay when I was searching for that cat.
Remember
love this guy, the way he competes, man. He's awesome.
So when the Marlins had, first it was Mike Stanton, then it became Giancarlo Stanton. Ruben used to always call their GM and try to get Giancarlo Stanton. Remember that? And I asked you about it one day, and I asked him about it one day, and he says, I call about that guy 100 times. I call about him all the time. And didn't you get slapped on the wrist from the commissioner's office for tampering?
I don't know. Maybe I did. Somebody did. But all I know is I offered my whole team my whole organization for the damn
I think
guy.
you said that. I think you said that. And
it's true. I sent it to Mike Hill. I have the text, I think, still.
And you told me, and I wrote it, and I think you actually got a letter.
My organization in my system right now, you can have them all for Mike Stanton.
That's great. Saturday is Cal Quantrill versus Taijuan Walker, and Sunday in the season finale, Easter Sunday, Connor Gillespie versus Jesus Luzardo. Yes, Jesus is pitching on Easter Sunday.
Ooh,
Jesus.
He's risen.
He was risen again.
Exactly right. We're going to answer a couple of your questions right after these words.
Podfather, I want to pull a very expensive card out of a pack. Very difficult to do and very expensive. I can't pay for it. Okay. How could I acquire that card?
Simple. Instead of driving somewhere, you go on Arena Club, go get you a slab pack, and you'll have some of the best cards you're ever going to see. Some one-of-ones, some cards that you want to have and you can't get out of your home. Go right online, check out Arena Club.
Yeah, I cannot recommend it enough. And every time you rip a slab pack, Arena Club will make you an instant offer for your card based on its market value. That's right. No guessing, no waiting. Instant offer for the estimated fair market value. You can accept it on the spot. You can use that cash for another slab pack, or you can buy, sell, trade. This platform has it all for the collectors out there. And right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase.
Back to the show. Wanted to mention that we're giving away another Manco & Manco gift card. So go to Go to X, follow the Phillies show at the Phillies show on X for a chance to win a Manco and Manco gift card. I mean, come on, Manco, crushing that at the ballpark. The best of the best, crushing that at the ballpark. A few questions. If the current offensive slump continues, I assume that's what they're speaking about. Is the solution internal, meaning a call up, or external, meaning a trade? That's from Oso Blanco on Instagram. You guys have any thoughts on?
You know what Oso Blanco is, right?
The white bear.
White bear. That's like, isn't that the polar bear? Isn't that Pete Alonso?
Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso's messaging the Phillies show. Pete, thanks for the chat.
Pete's trying to help us out.
Yeah, exactly right. What do you think, guys? If the offensive struggles continue, what do they do? I think it's probably mostly they're going to go internally first, whether it's Weston Wilson or maybe it becomes Otto Kemp at some point if they think he can play some left field. But I don't, it's very, very early to make a trade.
Yeah, I agree. At first, internal, see what you got. I think at some point in 25, I don't know when, Crawford could get a look. Not yet. And
not ready.
Yeah, not yet. It's not in the cards yet. And if these internal things don't work and they don't get going, then he's going to have to look outside at the deadline. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think this deadline is going to look a lot like last year's deadline, outfield and bullpen.
I will tell you this. Knowing Dave Dombrowski and knowing how important this season is, I would not be at all surprised if they're not scouring the world right now for center field help.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's something that, or some level of outfield help somehow, some way, whether it's should be a right-handed bat probably. I don't know who that player is. I'd have to go back and just, review some things and really check out what's going on out there in baseball land a little bit more broadly. But I got to believe that Mike Gondo, the pro scouting director, and Dave Dombrowski, and all the people, Mattingly, I'm sure that they're looking for some help out there, and or really eyeballing the development of Crawford, Otto Kemp, all these guys, Weston Wilson,
Rincones.
Rincones,
left-handed bat though.
He's left-handed, but I think they're eyeballing all this stuff, and because you need to have more production from your outfield. There's no question about that. And like I said, I've said this before, Brandon, this is a huge year for Brandon Marsh. It is so important for him to show people that he can be an everyday player. He's got the ability, he's got the talent, but you got to get it done at the major league level. And if you can't get it done, they're going to be looking for somebody else who can.
So that makes it a huge half year.
No doubt.
They're
His
going
next
to
2 months are huge for him.
Yeah.
And he's probably, I know he's a big, he's a pretty emotional guy, and he's going to have to tone his emotions and go play the way he can play because he's got ability. And, I love his ability, and he's had some success in the big leagues, but it's about consistency, and he needs to get there.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. It's Justin Crawford is not ready. I know everybody wants, is asking about him, and I get why. He's a top 100 prospect. He's batting 290 right now in Lehigh Valley, 700 OPS, but he definitely needs a lot more time. So,
guys, let me just say something, and so people understand this, the minor leagues and the major leagues are two totally different animals as far as pitching is concerned, especially with the pitching. So far, you see crappy pitching right now at the major league level. It's even worse at the AAA level by a long shot.
Point.
Okay, so I handled AAA pitching better than anybody in baseball for a long time, and I couldn't do it at the major league level. And there's even a bigger difference now. So let me just let people know. I think this guy's got ability, and I think he's going to be a major league player. I don't think there's any question about that. But pump the brakes on Justin Crawford.
Brandon Snavely on Blue Sky wants to know, will we be reanimating Chuck Klein? We need a hot bat. Now, I would say that was probably that was probably far-fetched, but I just did read a story about how some scientists brought back the dire wolf, which has been extinct for thousands of years, apparently. So maybe we can bring back Chuck Klein. Although I got a hot take on Chuck Klein. You want to hear it? Overrated Hall of Famer.
Ooh.
He the left-handed bat.
Piss some people off. He's going to piss off some 70-year-olds.
Baker Bowl was like what, at 200 feet from the right field wall. Baker Bowl was 200 feet from home plate, or 250 feet, 80-foot wall. What do you think Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber would hit playing in the Baker Bowl? They have about 8,000.
You play where you play, Todd. You play where you play.
Todd,
you take Chuck Klein out of Baker Bowl, he's very average.
You're making a lot of enemies in Indianapolis. That's where Chuck Klein was from, Southport High School.
It's not nice.
I know. Tweezer Jam on YouTube wants to know best power hitter. Ryan Howard, Mike Schmidt, Greg Luzinski, or Dick Allen. I'm partial to Ryan Howard since he's the only of these sluggers I've seen, but I'm curious on your opinions. Who's the best pure power hitter out of those four? Howard, Schmidt, the Bull, Richie Allen.
Filet, ribeye, T-bone, and porterhouse or whatever. They're all good.
Oh, that is the most political answer I've ever heard, Jim.
Well,
I'm going to say I love Mike Schmidt. I don't, as far as pure power, I'm going to say Ryan Howard.
And Dick Allen, I shook his hand a few times. That thing was a freaking catcher's man.
He's got a meat hook.
I mean, I've heard stories of some of those home runs that Dick Allen's. I never saw Dick Allen play, but people that did see him play said he would hit these 450-foot majestic home runs carrying a 800-ounce bat. So I'll say Dick Allen, even though I never saw him play.
Gentlemen, let me just say this about Ryan Howard. The man not blown out his Achilles and had problems with his knee and all that kinetic issue on his left side and his lower half. Who knows? The sky's the limit on his power because he was not the same guy and didn't have the same protection, obviously, because of the players. But he was the best offensive player for 5 or 6 years in all of baseball and most dangerous. He was even better, like not as good a pure hitter as Pujols, but just production-wise, he was better than Pujols.
Yeah, you look at those numbers.
And Pujols is going to be a Hall of Famer.
If my recollection is correct, because I remember writing this a ton, but I think during Ryan Howard's peak 6 years, 6-year stretch, I think he averaged 44 and 130.
Thank you. Who does that? Nobody. Not a
crazy numbers. Crazy numbers.
So don't forget, Ryan Howard was a hell of a player.
We're not forgetting. We've said they're all great.
All right.
Last one.
We defended the guy because his last few years were difficult, and it was difficult because he was signed, and we signed him to a long-term deal, and the expectation was so much higher for the guy. But he wasn't the same guy because he didn't have the same level of health.
Todd, Ruben, we all lived it. You lived it. 3 boxes down. We lived it in the press box. Yeah, we all lived it.
Yep.
I mean, you still think about some of those home runs, big clutch moments that he had for the Phillies. Oh my gosh. Last one. This is a little off the beaten path, but T Montgomery 10 on Instagram wants to know favorite movie. What are you watching? What comes on TV? Yeah. Everybody has one of those.
There's
movies,
a lot of
right?
them. I'm a movie freak, so but I got mine.
I saw. I'll tell you. I just had the most unusual theater going experience. I took my wife and I took our son Henry and our middle child Margot to the Minecraft movie. Have you guys heard of this movie? Have you guys know the video game at all?
Right.
Every teenage middle school boy and high school boy loses their frickin' minds watching this movie. It was like going to Rocky Horror Picture Show, like a rock concert during this movie.
Really?
Certain lines of the movie are being uttered, and these kids are rip-roaring, applauding, and cheering, and screaming, and shouting out the lines. I didn't know what the hell I was into. I'm sitting in this movie, and I turn to my wife and go, "What is going on here?" Then at one point, I start complaining. I go, "I can't hear the dialogue. I don't know what they're saying." And then I stepped back and I said, "Am I really complaining because I can't hear the dialogue to the Minecraft movie?"
Hey, the Rocky Horror Picture Show reference, that's bonus, man. That's seriously bonus. Nice going.
But I'd have to think of one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Caddyshack. If I'm looking to laugh, that's always a classic one.
Great one.
But I don't know what you guys have. Anything come to mind?
What do you got, Tim?
Well, I'm a sucker for a good chick flick, so I would say Steel Magnolias or Beaches.
Oh, Oh, what? Like the Criers.
I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
No way that's true.
No way. I'm going to go kind of a split decision between Hoosiers and The Fugitive.
Oh, you do love The Fugitive. Jim.
I love The Fugitive.
The second one or the third one or which one?
The one with Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford. I love the closing scene when he gives him the ice pack and he undoes his handcuffs and he throws them up there. And Harrison Ford says, "Thought you didn't care." And Tommy Jones says, "I don't. Don't tell anybody." Love that scene.
Great. I'm going to go to my mainstay, and it's the greatest movie by far of all time, and that's Shawshank Redemption.
It's a good
not
one.
even close.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. I love the acting. I love the story. It doesn't get any better than that for me.
That movie is classic. Yeah, that is one of those movies when it does get on TV, you're just like, oh crap, now I got to watch this thing.
Yeah.
You know? You're like, buckle up. You know, anytime it's on TV, you got to stop and watch Shawshank Redemption. Though, that is a good one. I love it. I love it, guys. If you like the Phillies show, you can get a Phillies show T-shirt at thephilliesshow.com. Don't forget, and we will be back on Monday to look back at the Marlins series and look ahead at a big series next week up at Citi Field against the New York Mets. Guys, that was fun. Talk to you later.
All righty. Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.